You are listening to This Week in Clown World with Ben and Hobbs, so sit back, relax, take your black pill, and enjoy the show.
Why, hello, ladies, gentlemen, non-binary, pansexual, genderqueer, dragonkin. Welcome to another episode of This Week in Clown World with Ben and Hobbs. That's Ben. I'm Hobbs. Hello, and welcome, everybody. How are you doing this evening, Ben?
Doing well. I'm
curious how long we can go tonight before we get kicked off Facebook. So we'll try and set a new record this time.
Yeah,
We're not going to say the other word for West Taiwan. We're not going to say what was the V word we came up with?
Victrola.
We're not going to say the other word for Victrola, and we'll see if that works out for us, which may not work because the main thing we want to talk about is about Victrola.
All right, so we just gotta play it really, really, really careful. Let's we had a couple of other things that were on the docket.
You want to get some stuff in before we get kicked off then?
Yeah.
We'll move that one down the docket so we don't get kicked off right away.
Yeah.
We'll talk about Victrola later. We can still talk about West Taiwan though.
Right. Yes, they did something that apparently caught our own government completely off guard because it said U.S. government shocked and surprised by West Taiwan's testing of a hypersonic missile that flew into low orbit and glided to its target, which it missed by only 25 miles, which sounds like a lot, but when you're dealing with hitting things on a planet with a potentially nuclear-tipped missile, close enough.
25 miles for a nuke, potato.
Yeah. Yeah, especially since this is like the first one that they've ever done. You know, this is kind of a big deal.
Yeah, and I don't know how they got caught off guard. It said it flew around the planet twice and then hit the target.
Yeah. Well, it caught our people off guard because they were too busy swearing in a transgender admiral as the first woman.
Here comes the ban.
Yeah.
The T word.
Well,
yeah, I didn't know how that worked. It said that they were sworn in as a 4-star admiral or something. Yeah. I didn't know that Health and Human Services was considered a uniform branch of the government with rank structure, and it's basically just like another branch of the military. Did you know that?
I was kind of aware. I think it's kind of like the Postmaster General, you know, part of the post office, but they have that rank of Postmaster General, or like the Surgeon General. You know, I think. But I also think that this individual, Rachel Levine, formerly Richard Levine, now no Richard Levine, is.
You talk bad about that guy, but he worked his balls off to get there.
Oh, zing!
Hey yo.
Yeah, but yeah. So apparently, this person is the first female 4-star admiral, and it's like even men are better at being first women than women.
Damn it! Look what's going on. Don't you type it.
That's over on the YouTube chat. That's fine.
Oh, okay, one's fine.
That's fine over there.
Yeah, don't worry about what happens over there. Yeah, and I guess they treated it like it was they worked their way up there, and I feel bad for the first 4-star general in one of the real branches of the military that's a female that gets up there.
Yeah. But I think this person was like in the legit Navy, which is why they're an admiral. Like an admiral in Health and Human Services doesn't make a whole lot of sense unless that person was, I think, in the Navy beforehand. I think.
I don't know. That makes sense, though.
Oh, interesting side fact. This person and Mark Milley went to high school and played on the football team together.
Say again? What was that?
I'm sorry, that was my son over there screaming because he's a little shithead. Yes, I hear you.
In case you hadn't figured it out, Hobbs is on baby duty.
Yes. So this person and General Mark Milley, the one who is, too busy focusing on understanding white rage to know that China is about to launch a hypersonic missile. They went to high school together and played on the football team. Yeah, that's not a joke.
But
they played high school football together.
That was an interesting locker room, I bet.
I bet it was, yeah.
It's strange that he got caught off guard. You think with all his phone calls he does to the Chinese government, they would have gave him a little heads up.
Yeah, you would think so. Unless this isn't a reciprocal agreement, in which case I bet his heart is just broken.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty amazing that they could pull something like that off, and they didn't even. I mean, I don't think that. And the problem with those missiles is there's really no defense against them.
That we know about.
Well, I would assume that they'd bluff a little bit. You know what I mean? If China has this capability, they at least pretend like they had something, but they're not even close enough to a defense. They don't even have the capability to bluff that they have it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I imagine that some type of directed energy weapon would be the best defense against that.
Well,
laser beam to shoot it out of the sky.
Yeah, and they're starting to direct back towards laser beams. They got kind of distracted with rail weapons for quite a while with rail guns. And I saw the Navy had just recently pulled the plug on that program.
Which is unfortunate because I envision a future in which the USS Missouri is taken out of the docks at Pearl Harbor, fitted out with rail guns and a nuclear reactor, and will be the bane of the high seas once again.
And put out, what, you going to have something like the Philadelphia experiment on there?
I don't even care about that. I just want battleships to be a thing again.
Yeah, that era is probably long gone. I don't know that.
You get that communist propaganda out of your mouth right now.
They shoot these hypersonic missiles at like 10 feet above sea level and just blam. That seems like what the new warfare is going to be. And then you're going to have carriers full of drones.
Yeah. I don't know if you ever played, I think it was one of the Call of Duty games where it was taking place in the near future. And like a South American country or like a South American revolutionary group got a hold of a deposit of rare earth minerals and developed a supercomputer, in which case they could hack the U.S. Defense, like anything the U.S. Defense Department had, the supercomputer was able to hack it. And so like the whole story revolves around you and your buddies trying to like stop this NGO guy from destroying the entire U.S. military by turning its own drones that the U.S. military had become dependent on against it. and the crazy thing about it is that the flagship of the U.S. military's drone fleet was an aircraft carrier, the USS Obama.
The USS Obama.
Yes.
It'll happen. You know it's going to happen.
But I thought the fact that the USS Obama was the central linchpin flagship of the drone fleet was very hilarious.
Then we'll have a USS Joe Biden at some point that just wanders aimlessly around the ocean.
Some kind of tugboat out there in the middle of the Pacific, not knowing what it's doing or where it's at.
The USS Brandon.
Which is another funny story to come out this week.
Yeah, the Let's Go Brandon thing. Top on iTunes, I guess, is what you said?
Yes. The rapper whose name escapes me right now came up with a rap song titled Let's Go Brandon, and it is number 1 on iTunes.
Yeah, and that's really taken off, the Let's Go Brandon thing. I don't know if I told you, but my wife watches NASCAR, and I just happened to be walking through when they were doing the post interview with that guy, and they start yelling "fuck Joe Biden," and I start laughing, and the sportscaster says, "Oh, they're really supporting you. They're saying Let's Go Brandon." I'm like, "What?" And then it's like, everywhere.
Yeah, I don't know. That's either some next level mishearing or some props to her. Kudos to her for thinking on her feet to try and carry water like that. But like, don't break your back carrying that much water.
She would have been better off not saying anything.
Yeah. Because now not only is Let's Go Brandon everywhere, and everybody knows what it means. But she personally is a laughing stock for trying to, think that the rest of America was mentally retarded or something.
Over here in the chat, we've got Brandon is going to be the most popular baby boy name next year.
Yes. What a time to be somebody named Brandon. Everybody's cheering for you.
I saw something on Babylon Bee. It was like progressive parents struggling with how to cheer on their children named Brandon.
Well, easy fix. Say they're transgender and name them something else. Boom. You're welcome.
Brandon with a Y.
Yes.
And what has Brandon been up to lately? Jack and shit, pretty much.
Yeah, apparently.
I mean, this has been the most bland presidency I can think in recent memory. I mean, usually that first year is just a whirlwind of them doing shit. You know what I mean? I mean, even Obama did all sorts of shit in his first year.
Yeah. It seems like I think that they figured that everything that they try gets screwed up in some way, so they're just not trying anymore. Well,
and he's still just running away from the press, just turns his back, walks away. What is up with his fake TV set? Have you read anything about that he uses?
Yeah, it's across the street from the White House. It is a recreation of the Oval Office. It's a sound set, and the reason that they use it is I think it was either Jack Posobiec or Mike Cernovich put up on Twitter the reason that he uses it has something to do with you can if you set up a teleprompter or like one of those see-through teleprompter screens in the Oval Office, the actual Oval Office, it can be seen or like a reflection or something. The lighting in the actual Oval Office doesn't work with one of those telescreens.
Oh, okay.
So they set up this sound stage that's an identical facsimile of the Oval Office across the street so that Dementia Joe doesn't wander off script.
Maybe it's a complicated hologram stage and he's not even actually there.
You know what? I can think of worse things from Star Trek to bring into the real life.
Well, didn't they do like haven't they been making progress with those holograms? Like they've had Elvis appear on stage with singers before, and they brought back Michael Jackson or Tupac.
Yeah, they've done that.
Why couldn't they just have Joe Biden over there while he's in his bed eating ice cream?
That could be the case right now. But I mean, if it is, they're really shooting for realism by making him a doddering old man.
Oh, you're saying if it's fake, they'd make him
they make him a little
more alive. Maybe that's why he seems so unlively. He's actually not alive. It's just a hologram.
It's like some Weekend at Bernie's type thing going on.
Yeah, Weekend at Biden's. I think I saw that somewhere too.
Yeah.
The administration is Weekend at Biden's.
Yeah, and there was this video clip that I saw the other day. He wandered up to a microphone. It was in the Rose Garden in the backyard of the White House, and they had just got done doing something. And the press and all of the aides and everything, they're just like milling around talking to each other and everything. And he steps up to the microphone and starts to say something. Nobody's paying attention to him. He's not supposed to be speaking. It's the event that was over, it looked like. And he starts saying something into the microphone, and his wife has to come up and put a hand on his shoulder and be like, Joe, nobody's listening. And he kind of like, shrugs and kind of looks embarrassed and walks off. It's like, where's our president?
It's easily the most uninspiring president. I mean, Obama, he inspired people good and bad. Trump, he inspired people good and bad. Biden doesn't inspire anybody for anything. There's nothing inspiring about this guy at all.
He inspired 81 totally legitimate, totally real people, 81 million people to go out and vote for him last year. That's inspiring. That's more than any other president. That
vote.
is.
I think he inspired people to. I think Trump inspired people to vote against him. Is what happened. I mean, Trump was very inspiring both ways. He inspired people that were into the whole MAGA, and he inspired people that hated him, and they still hate him. Those people still bring up Trump all the time.
Yes, and since you did too, a big announcement last night. He's starting his own social media platform for realsies this time. Yes, it's called truthsocial.com. Yes.
Is that really what he called it? Truth
Yep.
Social?
Truth Social. Yep, that's truthsocial.com is going to be the name of the website. You can get in there and like pre-order the app or whatever to get it as it comes out. They're going to be going into beta in the next few weeks.
Yes, we have Biden makes Jimmy Carter look like George Washington. You know, I was too young for Carter, so I can't comment on that specifically, but I do remember Reagan, and he was inspiring.
Yeah.
But Carter, yeah, maybe that's what we're going to end up with. We're going to pick a strong personality again. After, you know what? And I hate to say it, but he's making Trump's chances for.
Oh yeah, maybe this is part of the 5D chess. You know.
Yeah. I mean, after somebody like Biden, people are going to go completely the other direction and go running back to Trump, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, and that was easy to predict.
You know, and he might not do bad his second term because now he realizes what he shouldn't do, maybe.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. First things first, clean the cabinets.
Yeah.
Like, seriously, get the deep state, the swamp rats, anybody that's been in D.C. more than, I don't know, like 5 years, get them the fuck out. And maybe
well, that's what he said he was going to do the first time, and he didn't actually do it, and it came back to bite him in the ass.
Yeah, dipshits like Reince Priebus and the other assholes in the GOP convinced him that it would look bad to bring in your people. They're already calling you a fascist, sir. You don't want to prove them right by handpicking sycophants. And to see how that turned out. So I think that this next time he might just be like, all right, that's it. Sycophants and yes men all around.
Yeah, somebody come. Maybe we won't get kicked off Truth social media. We'll see.
I think because he had so he doesn't have an account over on Gab.
Mm-hmm.
Gab made an account for him, and they used it to mirror all up until he got kicked off of Twitter. They used it to just mirror all of his tweets, and they said that that when and if Donald Trump wants the account, they'll just hand it over to him. But he is being kept from getting on Gab because Gab doesn't censor anything, including hate speech, shit like that. And because there is a large contingent of anti-Semites that use Gab as their social media of choice because there's no moderation, Jared Kushner continually convinces Trump not to get on Gab.
Huh.
Yes.
Who was that sleazy guy that was in Trump's? I mean, if you had to pick somebody's administration that was Stephen Miller.
Steve Bannon?
No, Miller. Wasn't that his name?
Steve Bannon was the guy that looks like disheveled and like a fat homeless guy. Steve Miller was the bald-headed kind of looking guy.
If there was anybody that I would pick that was an actual fascist, it would have been that guy. But
listen, all I'm saying is that the Autobahn is wonderful and Volkswagen is a great company. You can do with that information as you will. That's my Steve Miller impersonation.
Yeah. He said a couple things that kind of burnt. But, speaking of shitty social media, I have a lot of tech news that pops up in my feed. And did you see Facebook It's big news. They're gonna change their name.
Ooh, boy, let's take
Wow.
bets on what it's gonna be.
Yeah,
They could just
I don't get it. Why? We're still gonna know it's Facebook.
Yeah, well, I think that people are saying Facebook is going to change its name, but I think that what's actually, sir,
Uh-oh.
we're angry. I think that what's really going to happen is going to be like how Google kind of
Change to Alphabet.
yeah, exactly, change the alphabet. I mean, Google is still Google and YouTube is still YouTube, but they fall under the umbrella company of Alphabet, and I think that that Facebook is probably going to do the same. Like Facebook's still going to be Facebook, Instagram is still going to be Instagram, but they're going to have some larger, what they call the metaverse umbrella company over them.
What's he yelling about?
I don't know.
He's right there, dude. You don't have to yell.
Yes. Hi.
So, moving back up to what might have got us in trouble earlier. What were we? The Victrola.
Yes. The Victrola. The old Pinko Pox.
Yeah.
Yes. And everybody's favorite person.
Fauci.
The saintly, wonderful, benighted, nay, canonized Dr. Anthony Fauci, who sat in front of Congress and specifically told Rand Paul, "Senator, you don't know what you're talking about. You are a liar, sir." Well, it turns out the NIH came out with a nice little letter correcting the record, saying that NIH Director Francis Collins and Dr. Anthony Fauci did an oopsie and lied about the funding of taxpayer dollars to gain-of-function research in Wuhan, China. Okay, so maybe we did a moderate amount of gain-of-function research. When I said we did no gain-of-function research, it's kind of like when President Clinton said it. Depends on what the definition of is. You know, what's your definition of gain-of-function research? I don't know. Yeah. You fucking idiot. You lied. You got caught.
Yeah, and will they haul him back in front of Congress again, or what? Just
they
gonna
ought
be
to
one
clap
of
the piece of shit in irons is what they need to do.
Yeah, I don't think anything will come of it.
No, my brother asked me that today. He texted me, said, "Do you think they're actually gonna bury the slimy little fuck under the prison?" And I said, "What? Probably the most that's going to happen to him is they're going to allow him to resign in disgrace with his pension, and he'll just ride off into the sunset, never to be heard from again."
And I don't understand why they do this gain of function stuff.
You know what? It's they say that when they force these mutations into these viruses, they're following is like an accelerated evolution process to try to get a disease to where it would be naturally in a few years, within a few months, so that they can develop treatments and vaccines for it. That's what they say. But if the initial studies of COVID-19 that were coming out of India and a few other countries are to be believed, then what they were doing wasn't just, taking a dead bat and grinding it up and feeding it to a pig, and then grinding that pig up and then feeding it to another animal just to try to get the disease to jump species or whatever. What they were doing was actually splicing other diseases together to try to make a more infectious respiratory virus by using things like SARS and MERS and HIV, I think, is the ACE2 receptor spike protein that COVID-19 has. These were all artificially placed into the COVID-19 virus in order to make it intentionally infectious to human beings. And to me, that's not research purposes. That's not natural mutations and an enhanced evolutionary timeline in order to find treatments and vaccines for it, that's developing a bioweapon.
Yeah. How is that possibly going to happen in the wild?
It doesn't.
Well, and I don't think I think the Chinese or West Taiwan, I looked over here on Facebook and we're like shadow banned on it. It didn't shut us down, but it says we have 0 people reached. So we're just kind of shadow banned over there. So I guess we can just say China. So
Yeah.
I think the Chinese weren't trying to release it on purpose. I think they were just so sloppy that they did it on accident. And I remember there was a video when all this started kicking off. It was and I haven't seen it since, but I'm sure it's out there still. It was of, I think it was some Americans taking a tour of this Wuhan facility, and they're going around and they're doing a pan over, and this person's showing them different stuff in the facility. And she's in one of their areas where they store viruses, and she opens a fridge, and this guy's pointing out everything that's wrong with this fridge. Like the seal on the fridge, on the freezer / fridge is cracked and broken. And then he zooms in on the thermometer inside it, and it's at the wrong temperature to store stuff. And it's just multiple things in the video pointing out how shitty this Wuhan facility was.
Yeah, I'm glad you reminded me of how shoddy everything is over in China. I'll send you a video after we get done here tonight. Quit it. I'll send you a video after we get done here tonight.
I'll finish you, old man.
Still need somebody to change your diapers, shit. But yeah, it's bad over there. It's so slapshod together that this really isn't a surprise. And considering the other things that they're working on in the lab, have you heard about the Nipah virus? NIPAH, Nipah virus, which is another virus that they're working on, playing around with the gain of function stuff. Is it has a lethality of 60 to 80%. And they're playing with it over there in that same lab.
What was that one that popped up in India? Is that the one?
Yeah, I think so.
Boy, that's a coincidence, huh? Let me see here. Yeah, India's Nipah virus outbreak at the end of September.
Yep.
So that seems kind of weird, I guess. Right on the border of China, and they get a Nipah virus.
Yeah. Imagine that. China and India have been beefing with each other for a while, beating the shit out of each other's border guards and having all sorts of territory disputes.
And here's the good thing and the bad thing that China has to look at when they're crafting these viruses. The Chinese population is very homogenous. Almost everybody over there is from the same genetic haplogroup. Yeah. So it'd be pretty easy to craft a virus that would not affect your specific genetic haplogroup. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The race-specific bioweapons, or in that case, the race-exclusionary bioweapons, is kind of like the Holy Grail.
So it's like, but that goes both ways. I mean, somebody on the other side could certainly craft one.
Right, and it's almost kind of a race to the bottom. Like I think that they are. Quit it. I think that they are pretty certain that Americans wouldn't stoop that low. Quit it. I think that they're pretty sure that Americans wouldn't stoop to a race-specific bioweapon, because while China is very ethnically homogenous, the United States, Great Britain, or whatever is not. Mm-hmm. And they are, I think, pretty sure that if the United States or some other Western power would develop a bioweapon which would attack that certain ethnic group, it would also target a lot of the people that live here. We have a lot of Asian, Chinese specifically people living, especially on our West Coast. And would we risk killing probably several million of our own people and foreign nationals in our country.
Well, the Democrats set the precedent on that one. They can just throw them in a camp, right? Keep them safe.
Yeah, he's waving at you.
So, yeah, I don't know. That seems weird. Where'd you see that they're working with Nipah and then it breaks down in India? I mean, how far apart are those stories? When did you see the Nipah story?
The Nipah thing was I heard about it on let's see here. I heard about it on Dan Bongino's show 2 weeks ago, and then somebody on Tucker and InfoWars. Yeah, 2 weeks ago I heard about it.
Yeah, and I was just glancing over the story here about the one in India. They're like, they have no idea where it came from. It just showed up.
I'm sure they know.
So next on here, what else did we have? We had the hypersonic missile. Fauci lied. Southwest Airlines caved.
Good for them.
They decided that they're not going to fire all those employees. When all those employees decided they weren't going to work that day or that week.
No, I had heard that the whole Southwest Airlines being shut down, all of those flights that got canceled, was because of something like 38 people.
That's it.
Yeah, they're the ones that shut everything down. All it took was 38 highly skilled air traffic controllers that you can't just grab some schlub off the street and be like, hey, be an air traffic controller. It takes somebody with a lot of skill and a lot of time on the job. And these 38 people shut down a major airline. That's the type of power that you have when you have somebody that can't be easily replaced.
Yeah, and that shows. I mean, that's kind of our supply line in a nutshell. That's why there's all these issues now. Everything's just kind of running at the bare minimum. I mean, there's no way they had anybody. They probably have their staff just to the very fine line so that practically nobody can call in sick to keep those margins up.
Right. It's just in time manufacturing.
Yep.
And the thing about just in time manufacturing is that it's incredibly efficient. It's great for the bottom line, but that maximum degree of efficiency also requires a maximum degree of stability.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as like one little wrench gets thrown into the cogs anywhere, then everything is fucked, and you've got supply line issues. You've got cars that aren't being made because a chip isn't being made, because a certain metal isn't being imported or whatever. It's like one tiny little thing gets out of place, and because nobody maintains inventory anymore, they can't bounce back right away when things get screwy.
I would be surprised if they can bounce back ever, because it's like you remember that old show I Love Lucy where she's getting the chocolates off the chocolate line there, and they just keep I mean, that's the way the demand's never going to stop, and they can't seem to get caught up, so it just keeps getting worse and worse. And without redesigning the entire global supply chain, I mean, you're gonna have to undo 30 years of work to fix it. I mean, that won't happen.
Yeah, it's going to be something that's it's going to be painful for a short amount of time, and it is something that needs to be done. Like the just-in-time manufacturing was great when everything was working great, and the inventory was less. The old school way of doing it, the inventory and stocking and everything, it worked great when times are tough. And I think that nowadays, with the degree of interconnectivity, high-speed communications, everything could turn and change on a dime. I think that some type of a hybrid system would be both almost as efficient as the just-in-time manufacturing, while also being more secure, like the old-school inventory stocking system.
Well, and some people are like, well, we just need to bring the manufacturing back to the States. Well, we can't even fucking do that because the stuff to build the factories comes out of China. So
yeah. It's, like I said, it's going to be a slow and painful process of kind of, I guess, deglobalizing. as far as that goes. But one little silver lining, I don't know if you heard about it, but here in Nebraska, nice little local story. Shh, quit it. Nice little local story. Here in Nebraska, some ranchers got together and raised $300 million to build their own co-op meatpacking slaughterhouse facility.
Yeah, I've never understood the meat issue because I have friends that raise cattle and I know what they sell cattle for, and I know what happens all the way along the chain, and somewhere along the chain that cow turns into a $20 T-bone. It's like, where is that money going? It's not going to the ranchers. It's not going to the cattle buyers.
Yeah, it's a lot of middlemen and a lot of overhead.
But why? I don't understand why. It just blows my mind when these guys are doing it right. I mean,
yeah.
Well, I don't understand how the meat supply chain got to that point.
I'm sure that it's the same thing as all the other agricultural problems we have, where somewhere along the line, many years ago, some big conglomerate made an offer that at the time seemed like it couldn't be refused, and now several years, down the line, now it's now we're all paying for it.
Zigzag goes to processors and distributors. I mean, for what? Are they just throwing $3 or $4 on there just to make money? I guess I don't.
Yes.
It seems like with supply and demand, I don't understand why it's taken this long for somebody to say, "Hey, this is fucked. We'll just start our own meat processing plant and have blackjack and hookers." So I don't understand that. Like I've been priced out of the beef market. I rarely buy beef anymore, and it's got to be cheaper where I'm at than for most people.
Right. Yeah. It's one of those things where if you're like out here where I'm at and where you're at, I'm sure ranchers, and I know ranchers, like small family farms, where if I wanted to, I could go to a couple of guys that I know or my brother works with and be like, "Hey, I want half a cow. I want half a head of beef." And it wouldn't be that expensive and it wouldn't be that hard to do. It's my problem right now is I don't have anywhere to store it. I don't have a deep freeze big enough to store that much meat. But other places though, that's not exactly an option, and people have to deal with store prices and shit. And it's just bumped up by processors, distributors, grocery chains, everything. And now with this rancher thing that they're doing, I mean, they raised $300 million to make their own co-op slaughtering facility, which is great. But I think that instead of having one $300 million slaughter facility, they should try to work on setting up $301 million facilities around the country.
There are some, like people probably know I'm on city council, and there was a rancher with a large ranch west of town, and he came to us. He wants to build his own packing plant. He's going to hire his own employees. He's going to process his cattle and his buddy's cattle, and they're going to sell it right out of there and distribute to local grocery stores. Kind of the same story as those other guys, just on a smaller. Yeah, half cow from local farmer, we get $4 a pound. That's not bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, but your average Joe can't go get that. I mean, $20 for a steak is out of a lot of people's budgets.
Unfortunately, but hopefully this is going to be a kind of a sea change in not just our beef marketing, but agriculture across the board. Go local, go smaller. It's not going to be as efficient. You're not going to have your products shipped nationwide, but maybe we'll be able with the internet to have some type of a connected, almost like a agricultural bartering system.
Well, there's a Facebook group here locally. It's like backyard gardeners, and they post up stuff to trade from their gardens and whatnot during the summer, or to sell. I mean, there's no reason to go to the grocery store in the summer. I mean, unless you're getting like butter or milk or something. But if you look around, you can probably find, if you're in an area like us, you can probably find butter and milk too.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing against grocery stores, but I'm just saying you don't need them. You also probably don't pay taxes on that other stuff too.
ATF. IRS is going to be like, how do we insert ourselves into this?
Oh, I'm sure they're already researching it. That's probably part of their $600 bullshit. They want to keep track of who's getting sent money over, Google Pay and whatever, and PayPal at farmers markets so they can tax it.
Yep.
That $600 thing has nothing to do with getting more money out of billionaires and millionaires. It's about squeezing money out of poor schmucks like us.
Yep. All right. So you want to call it an early night? Little guy is getting nuts.
Is he getting nuts? All right.
Yeah. So sorry about that, everybody. But when dad's on baby duties because mom's out shopping for dumb shit, then your show quality suffers.
And were you doing it? Are you doing a show this Friday?
I don't know yet. I keep texting the guy and he like checks the message and he doesn't respond, and then like 3 days later he'd be like, oh hey, sorry, I forgot to get back to you. So I don't know. I sent him another one a couple hours ago, so we'll see.
Home raised beef is the best. Been doing it. I'm just gonna throw a couple comments up here. Yeah, home raised is the best. You can tell when you get it. And we got duck tastes like beef. You must be prepping it better than I do. I figured you would have a comment on what rabbit tastes like, Catherine, but
or goat,
yeah. Post your best rabbit or goat recipes. But yeah, that's the show for tonight. Hobbs has to get going. We've got riots happening. The Grand Island Titty riot is going on right now with Drexel.
Yep.
Check out our merch on www.roads2liberty.com. We'll be back next week for another This Week in Clown World, and Drexel will have to sign an agreement that he has to behave himself if he's going to be involved with the show anymore. We're gonna dock his pay.
Yep.
All right, thanks for tuning in.